Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Ion Events. We're the Emily Weddings team, and we're so thrilled to be with you here on this Monday night. We are excited about our topic tonight.
Yes,
this will be a fun one.
We're just going to listen to ourselves on a 2-second delay.
Today, we are going to be talking about what your wedding day timeline should look like, what it should have on it, and why. And so what we want to ask is for the wedding professionals that are joining us, we see that people are jumping on. Thanks, guys, so much for joining us. For the wedding professionals who would love to throw in why it's important that timing is just down to a science for your service or your product, we would love to hear what your thoughts are on that. If you have been married, you're a past bride or groom, and you have thoughts on some timing things that worked or didn't work for your wedding, we'd love to hear your thoughts on why for those. And so that way our viewers are enlightened as well. And then if you're a bride-to-be, we would love, or a groom-to-be, we would love to hear your thoughts on what are the special things that you want to make sure happen. That's part of why we do the timeline, is we want to make sure that you're getting everything that you have desired and dreamed of for your wedding day to happen. And without a timeline, some of those things can
fall by the wayside.
Get missed. So what's one of the first points, ladies? And then we'll kind of see if anybody has anything to add.
I need to tell you my number one timeline tip. Do your research when it comes to distance and when it comes to truly how long it takes to realistically drive somewhere. Do your research on that and add some time.
Yes.
Make sure you're going online. If you have a wedding over at Rudy Inlet and there's the Neptune Festival going on at the ocean front, it's going to take longer to get there.
Depending on the seasons. We're in a tourist town.
Absolutely. And finding parking, if it's a really busy tourist weekend, then you're going to have a more difficult time finding parking. If you have transportation provided for your guests, they're going to have a harder time, especially with a larger vehicle, navigating the oceanfront in that whole area, or anywhere really in this whole vicinity. Yeah, downtown Norfolk, anywhere.
The wedding day timeline is like really a puzzle, and it takes... For us, we've been doing this for many years, and we love it. And in fact, after tonight's show, we'll be getting off and running through some of our current couples' schedules and timelines and crafting this masterpiece of a timeline. And one of the big things that we really, truly feel has to happen is that, do you want to come on back, Carrie?
Carrie's alive!
Carrie,
I spared you all from a coughing fit.
Oh, we're so sorry.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Carrie.
Carrie's under the weather. But see, this is it, guys. We don't stop even when we're under the weather.
Nope.
So thanks for being a part of it.
Thanks for being a trooper.
Just stay a little bit back because I don't want to get it. One of the first things is that the timeline should start the first activity of the day.
Yes.
So some couples might say, well, it needs to be when we're leaving for church or when our first pictures are starting, and then that's when it starts. But we would say, if you're having your friends, bridal party, family members over for breakfast, that's when the timeline needs to start.
Yes.
Activities, if your groomsman is golfing.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's going to play 9 holes, if he's going to play 18 holes, that makes a big difference.
We want to know where.
Yes.
Not just
we
that
want
they're
to know
playing golf, where.
Yes.
I would
if they're going to lunch afterwards.
And your best man's contact number, so in case the groom is having a little too much fun, we have somebody responsible that we can communicate with.
Yeah. I would also back it up a couple of days and say, whenever we have tent installations at private residences or homes and sandwich, things like that, I'll back it up and start with the day the tent is being installed.
That's
any other deliveries that are happening that we need to know when they're getting there, to make sure someone is available to meet those vendors and things get put in the right place.
That's a great point. So we're looking at wedding day timeline. It should start with the first event of the morning, but Carrie's even bringing up when things are happening Thursday night or Thursday morning or Friday night, even the rehearsal.
Which that's often that happens. I mean, especially if you have a tent or larger items like that. They're going to be there Thursday or Friday morning. They're not coming the day of the event. I mean, they're setting up well in advance.
Now, you mentioned having the groomsman or the bridesmaid's phone number, because the last thing you want to do is call the groom and, where are you? What's happening? You're running late. We're not going to scare. No, but the second point, does anybody knowing the details, knowing the addresses, knowing the phone numbers to anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody involved
Their
in your
cell
event.
phone number.
The cell phone, right. Not the office number where they close at
Where
5
they will
o'clock
not
on
be.
Friday.
No,
Yes, we want the cell phone. We want to reach someone immediately if we need them.
And we promise we will not call you on a wedding day to just chit chat.
No.
There's going to be a reason.
We don't want to know how you slept last night. We care, but we're not going to call you and ask
No,
that.
there is a solid reason why we would dial your cell phone, and so we need it.
So again, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That has to do with communication beforehand. So communication with other vendors, communication with your couple, communication with your honor attendants, your maid of honor, your groomsmen. Just communication and making sure that we have all the information well in advance so that we're not scrambling if, God forbid, something happens that we really do need to contact you.
Right. I just wanted to shout out right now, Jill Brown is with us, and Jill is also an amazing event planner and wedding planner. Jill, if you have any insight into like the must-haves to put on that wedding day timeline, we'd love to hear your insight too. You are very knowledgeable in this. And hey, Jessica, thanks for joining. Kimberly Stern is on as well. You have your wine. Yes, everyone grab a beverage of choice and sit down with us for just a few minutes. We're having fun. This is just candid talk, us kind of shooting the breeze, talking about wedding day timelines. This is the stuff that happens at our team meetings, and we're kind of inviting you guys in, and we definitely want your thoughts and input, whether you're a wedding professional, a bride or groom. And again, if you've just joined, the comments below or the comments on the side, however you're viewing this, the first one will tell you what we're chatting about, but it's wedding day timelines. Okay, so let's get back to, we've said the first point, just starting with the first event of the wedding day. The second one we mentioned having the addresses and the
contact information,
blood type, allergies. Right. I'm just kidding. No,
we need to know the return time for items, what time they're going to be picked up from the venue, or if they're going to be picked up on Monday morning or Sunday afternoon. So we like to have that additional info.
All the details.
To add to that, a lot of venues, you have to pick it up at a certain time. It needs to be picked up that night, or it needs to be picked up first thing in the morning. You can't pick it up on Monday.
Or we like to add, if the bride and groom need to return it themselves, we'll make sure we have a note to put that in their car, or a family member's car to bring that.
Cake stands, that's a big one. A lot of people don't stop to think they have to return their cake stand. Your baker's not going to come out and get that. Somebody has to return it.
Not at midnight.
Right?
So why is it that we feel like a timeline is necessary for a bride? Like, what would be a reason?
Okay, if you're completely type A, like the majority of us, you want to know. I want to know. I'm a bride. I want to see what's going to happen and when. Am I okay with it? Do I like the way it flows?
Yeah. And
I would almost say the opposite. Because if you are not type A and you don't care, you need to have a timeline to make sure it's all going to happen.
So if you are type A, type B, or if you breathe,
you need a timeline.
If you breathe oxygen, you need a timeline.
So you only get one chance. Like, this is your one day, and you're not going to leave it to chance, therefore. And
that's a great point.
So you want us to put a timeline together because you've spent 9 months, a year planning or more planning the perfect shade, the perfect taste of buttercream to the cake that you don't want to be like, I'm just going to throw everything up in the air and hope it all comes out well. You don't want to leave it to chance. So that's a great point.
Well, what if nobody tastes your cake because it's not there in time? Because you don't have a timeline and nobody's communicated with your baker.
Let's just take it to the extreme.
Really? You need a timeline.
That is so great. Hi, world end. Hi, Megan. Thanks for joining. We see you.
I know mine's not loading.
Okay, see, I get to see everyone.
Sorry, friends.
I am recognizing all of you guys that are on. Like I said, if you guys are on and you are a planner or if you're a bride, like give us your 2 cents on the things that you want in your timeline or as a planner. Or even just a wedding professional, why you feel it is necessary. We're going to talk about the domino effect here in a second, which I think is a huge point, and we could probably spend 30 minutes on the domino effect alone. But another reason that timelines are super important, and I'll let you guys expound on this, is makeup schedules, hair schedules, transportation timelines, picture requests. Those are not as easy as they sound or look. Maybe it is. I guess I've done this for so many years. We've done this for so many years. It doesn't sound easy to me. But if you've never done this before, I guess you would say that maybe it is, and it's not. It's a huge puzzle for the day, especially if you have like 11 girls getting their hair.
Oh my gosh. We had a wedding a couple of years ago that had how many? I think it was like 16 bridal party members on each side, and that was, you know, the honor attendants, regular bridesmaids and groomsmen, and then they had junior attendants as well. Brittany, I think you had something to say.
I was just saying that Stephanie, there's no point. She said there's no point in planning every detail if it's not all going to happen.
Great call.
Very good point.
Yes, a lot of planning, and you don't want to have to think about it. It's your wedding day, so if there's a timeline, you have your planners or someone to follow it, call people if they're not showing up, and everything you planned is going to go right on time.
Yeah, failing to plan is planning to fail.
Good.
Someone is failing to write that down.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Sam. Thanks for joining. And Jamie Lee. Okay, Jamie you just joined. Hello. Yay. Another amazing event wedding planner. Jamie, give us your thoughts too as we're speaking, if you have anything to add or reasons to add things to a timeline. We've talked about addresses and phone numbers and blood types and allergies. I'm just kidding. We just
want to know if you really do have an allergy.
Well, I guess if you do have an allergy.
Again, we've been there. We had a bride who had a niece who was highly allergic to
peanuts.
A lot of different things. Peanuts, and there was something else she couldn't have. And so we made sure that was...
We had one with pineapple.
No, I think that was a groom. Yeah. But either way, I mean, we had to do a lot of planning. We had to make sure the baker knew, the caterer knew that there was a separate facility to prepare her specific food. So really, I mean, we say that jokingly, but absolutely, it's a real thing. It's a real concern.
We had a wedding recently, and we needed to know where the EpiPen was.
Right.
And that was a job given to one individual person.
Just to be on the EpiPen all night.
I mean, and that's
you never know.
A big job.
So if it's on
life or death.
I say we're only as good as the information we get, especially when it comes to day of coordinating. But we're only as good as the number of vendor meals. High five all of the vendors. The wedding professionals love you, Jamie.
Quality of vendor meals.
The number of vendor meals. It's a great addition. We definitely add that. And then if the vendors have food sensitivities or allergies as well, that's a great addition. Back to let's talk about the domino effect, because we talked about how the timelines, the photography timeline, like that's a huge thing with, like you mentioned earlier, the locations. And some people are like, I want to stop by here and then here and then here and then here and then let's go to
and then there's a car accident and traffic.
Or you're only like you have an hour and 5 locations. And we want you to understand, when you're working with a photographer, every car you jump into to get to another location is missed pictures. So you're paying the photographer to drive in his car to follow you to the next location, as opposed to going to one location and just getting some stellar shots. So that's super important. But the domino effect, let's talk about the domino effect a little bit, because we say, you know, you've heard the saying, let's all get on the same page. But we're talking literally on the same page. Everybody needs to know who's doing what, who's wearing what that day. I'm joking, because wedding professionals don't really care what you're wearing. But the reason why we have to know everything is because lighting has to get placed before tables get placed. But the tables have to be placed before the linens get placed. Or the linens,
drapery
or drapery,
before the lighting, if you have that.
The linens, yes. So draping the tent prior to the lighting, prior to the tables getting moved, prior to the linens going on the table, prior to the floral.
Flowers can't get placed until the linens are there.
Right. And the flowers shouldn't arrive too late, because they've got to do pictures, and you've got to get everybody with their bouquets in there if the parties are having. Even if you don't do like the bridal party all together. Let's say you're just doing groom with his men and bride. They still want their flowers, and so for
y'all, Brandy Hunley is in the house. Brittany, we love you. As You Wish events, she's fantastic. We love her.
I love all these planners joining us, guys.
Thank you guys.
Jamie Lee has helped us out. Yo, we got to eat. Jamie Lee.
Brandy,
And Jill
give us
Brown.
some tips.
Jill Brown is
Yeah.
Sunkissed events as well.
Oh, I was going to say, planners that are on here listening tonight, help us and all of our brides and friends and family
The must
the must-haves for timelines.
Help us help them.
Yes.
Let's help everybody.
Transportation is a big one too, because if you have your transportation rented for a certain period of time,
Oh, man.
but you haven't factored in, but now we want to do a first look or a first look with dad, and you want your photographer to do things beforehand, but there's no transportation to take you places if you want to go to a different. It's really, really important to have your ducks in a row, literally in a chronological row.
And I have to say, I think there's a lot of things that before I was a planner, I wouldn't have thought of.
Right.
I really wouldn't have.
Well, and that's why we do these Eye on Event shows now, because we want to put the thought in your head. We'd love for you to hire planners.
Yes.
And there are some amazing ones in this area. I promise you we would stand behind them. Hire somebody to help you that's a professional. We can give you names. But that's why we do this show, is to pique the interest, to get your thoughts going, to go, oh, golly, I didn't think about that. Oh, we do need to add that. So go on. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, no, it's gone. Whatever
It's gone.
thought I had. I'm sorry. Sorry, friends. If it's not used immediately, it's gone.
I'm sorry, that won't happen again.
Is that why you write a timeline? So
Yes.
it's back on?
Hey, there you go. And that's why I always have a notepad. I actually bought one for Brittany once.
You did?
I got myself a notepad and a pen to keep in my car, so I can just write it out.
I love that. Well, we've got it. We're detail oriented, and we've got to keep those details. We have to know the allergies and the number of people and
I have to also disagree, Emily, with something you said before. I care what you wear. I want to know, does your dress zip or does it button? Do I need 20 minutes for you to get into it, or do I need 5?
right.
And what kind of bustle?
So that's
do you have?
important.
Yeah.
Do I need bustle? Let's talk about
Do
bustle.
we need to break out the sewing kit? Or, I mean,
And whether or not somebody went with you to learn how to bustle.
Yes.
Usually not.
That's important. Every bustle is different, and I think a lot of seamstresses say it's this type of bustle. No, it's not. This is a bustle I've never seen in my life.
That is great. So Jamie and Jill and Brandy. Are we on track here? You guys have any additional things to add on?
To add or dispute. I mean, whatever.
No, you cannot dispute, but you can add. So the bottom line, guys, is that our wedding day timelines are anywhere from 6 pages to 10 pages, and I promise you, there's a lot on there. But again, we are only as good as the information that we have, that
That's
we
huge.
that we can do something with, and it's not that. Clear the dance floor because now it's time for cake cutting. We'll put cake cutting and we'll put a time on there, but then we can flow with it. And so if your guests are having a great time, and I would tell you, any of the wedding planners that are on, Michelle Kilgore's on.
Hey,
Thank you for joining. Michelle, if you have anything to add, please do. But the importance of the timeline is to not immediately stop your wedding party from having a blast on the dance floor to get the next thing done. It just tells us, hey, in the next little bit, we'll need to finish these 2, 3 items, whether it's cake cutting or toasts and then cake cutting and then bouquet and garter toss. That, hey, we can let them dance for a few more minutes. Hey, DJ, kind of wind it down. Let's slow things down so that we can go ahead and go into these next activities. If it's all in front of us, then we have a little more flexibility instead of trying to make up time at the end going, oh, darn it, we didn't get these things in because it wasn't written somewhere.
Well, and so does everyone else. So does your DJ standing behind his booth or the band. They have the same timeline. And they're able to see, like, oh, we're going to push that back a little bit. Well, now I have my reminder. We still need to do cake cutting and toast. You can kind of just see what's next.
Right.
It keeps it holistic, and it also keeps everyone accountable.
Yes. It really does. It definitely does. We had a case of a couple who just didn't give us any information. We had a vendor arrive.
What? No.
We had a vendor arrive to a wedding that we said, I'm sorry, who are you? We had no idea you were coming. We were not aware of this.
But
Welcome.
but
It's
I will
wonderful
say
to have
that
you.
somebody hired that person, like, without the bride knowing, right? It was like,
Or she forgot.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So we didn't get that info.
Anyhow,
She
either way,
didn't have
we
it.
made it work. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. But
Yeah.
I'm saying we are not here to scold anybody
No.
or call anybody out. But we're saying if we want to be there, we want to know absolutely everything about it so that we can
Help us help you.
handle it appropriately.
I think
Yes.
the more that you know on the timeline, like the better you can roll with the punches.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's the planner in us
Yeah.
that we're like, we can roll with it better.
Yes.
We know how to handle
Yeah,
it,
it's
or we
easier
can
to be
scooch things.
Yes.
We know how to scooch things on the fly. So it actually helps us be a little more loose and tight knee
Yes.
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 on the day.
Which is funny because you wouldn't think that, but
Yeah.
it is. The more you know, the more able
more
you are
relaxed.
to deal with,
Yes.
changes. Yeah.
And we want to meet your specific expectations.
Yes.
And when we can, then we can also meet the ones that you didn't think of before. We can
Right.
Yeah,
ask.
absolutely.
And like we said, get your thoughts going. So like the more we know, like we can ask the right questions or like stir up a thought in you that you were like, oh yeah, I want to add this to.
Jamie Lee said, help me help you.
Yes,
Exactly
girl.
what we were
Yeah.
saying.
Amen.
Yes, and Amy, she said you have relationships already established in the area. You have a rapport with vendors. It's only in your favor to have someone represent you on your big day.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. And they, like, most vendors would tell you, like, please hire a planner or a coordinator because it makes their jobs easier because
Yes.
we're the, you've got a play director, you have a music conductor, you have somebody that kind of is the glue that brings them all together, and they're all wonderful in their own way, but they would like somebody kind of helping them know, hey, Floral, don't get here until 1 p.m. because the
Yeah.
doors won't be unlocked.
Right.
But by 1,
Yeah.
the linens will be set, and then you can do that, and that coordinates with the pictures, and hey, photographer, don't show up at this time, and you want someone who knows what they're doing to be able to put your
Who knows what everyone is
Yes,
doing?
because
Not
that's
just
not
you.
their job.
Yes.
So
Right.
Yep.
it's not your DJ or your florist's job to know when the tables are going to be set up or
No.
or when the cake's arriving. So it's good to put everyone on the same page, and then no one will really have questions that day. All of your vendors will be on the same page. They'll have all of the information weeks beforehand or the week of, and they're able to read it over and highlight, what times they're supposed to be arriving, and
I
it
think
just helps everyone.
to add to that, it avoids too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yes.
I mean, we've had times where we go to mom and mom says one thing and bride says another thing, and then aunt says a whole other thing that we've never heard of. And so it's one person. You're communicating with one person. So one person can gather all of this information and figure out what is really truly the bride and groom's desire.
Yes.
So that's a big deal.
We have Lauren Simmons. Hi.
She's a photographer.
Hi,
She's an amazing
Lauren.
photographer.
She said,
She's
yes,
wonderful.
I tell all my brides they need a planner. It helps me, the photographer, out so much.
I think a lot of times the planning or the timelining can fall on the photographer because the photographer has a lot of parameters they need to work around.
The
Sunset.
photography is huge
Yes.
with timing, and we've had some where go ahead and read this, and then we'll kind of elaborate. on it.
Angela said, it really helps with keeping the bride and groom and bridal party together, and it
Yep.
helps the photographer. It's helped me in the past.
It does help with like we said with timing and kind of calming you down and saying if you really want a certain location, hire that photographer again for a mini session. A lot of photographers will do mini sessions throughout the week or something. Get that scenery with that photographer on another day. Let's utilize your bought time with this photographer instead of being in a car traveling, getting those amazing shots and getting more shots because you're not traveling.
Yes.
And about photography and the timeline, another thing that we always add on our timelines is the sunset.
Yes.
Yeah, because we want to use that beautiful twilight hour for photos. People spend a lot of money on photography, and that's what they're going to look back on for generations. So we want them to be able to get those pictures at that time, and we will coordinate around that for them if that's what's important to them.
And during this time of year when sunset's like at 1 p.m. in the afternoon.
Right after you wake up.
When sunset comes so early, it's so good for brides and grooms to see, pardon me, it's so good for them to see it in writing. Okay, sun's going to set at 4:45 p.m. We either see each other prior to the sun setting,
Yes.
or we don't, and that's going to be an intentional decision on my part. I know when the sun is setting and I am choosing to do or to not do. But sometimes if you don't make it very clear, like the sun is setting at 4:45, in their heads they're still thinking that they're getting that sunset shot, but they still don't want to see each other prior. And so it just helps kind of clear up what shots are your must-haves, what do you really want, what is prioritized,
And what shots are feasible based on the time that you have allotted.
and so the traditionalist may change their mind and say, well, I really want a sunset picture, and so I'm going to forego the traditional part of waiting to see the other one, and I want that's a priority for me. I want the sunset picture. So we do add that to our timeline, and we communicate with the photographer to make sure that the bride and groom are aware of the decisions that they're making.
And y'all, it's easy to find out what time the sun sets. You put into Google, what time does the sun set on this day, in which city, because that's a big deal. Always add your location. If you're getting married in the Outer Banks,
It's different.
it might be off from what it is here in Virginia Beach. So just a takeaway from personal experience.
And then some of the, I know we're going like long-winded, but photography is like, we usually station one of our team members. Some show we're going to do a show on how our team works, the dynamics, and like who does what and how it all
Who
kind of.
does what?
Who does what? We do it all.
Do we have to admit to these things
Right.
again? Emily? Who does what?
But that would be a fun game.
right.
But one of our girls is usually stationed with a photographer in order to. You've always got a family
Usually
member that's. You always you can have a family member who wanders off, or you have the bridal party who's like, cocktail hour, we're out, and you're like, no, we need you for pictures, and so you want one of our team members running, and that helps the photographer out. You want someone doing that because then you get more shots. They say 3 minutes on average per portrait setup, even if it's a candid kind of looking per setup, it's about 3 minutes on average. And if they are having to look for a lost member of the party, you're actually getting less photos. And so if you have a wedding planner in this area who has a team that can go hunt for lost
Well,
family
if you
members.
have a planner in the area whose team is as loud as we are and is not afraid to whip out their mom voice once in a while, then you're even better off.
But you'll get more pictures that way.
And that's another thing, planning ahead for your formal photo list. What are your must-have photos? I need a photo with Grandma and Grandpa. I mean, I need a photo with Uncle Bob and whoever else. But be specific with that. Be specific, but also...
No, keep in mind that it keeps about 3 minutes
Yes.
to do that setup.
Yes.
And so 17 pictures in that hour. Now you can have a killer photographer and you have the Emily Weddings team and you can like nail out 20 something pictures. But you need to keep in mind when you're writing that list, it can't be 4 pages, 5 pages long. It's not going to happen.
So be
during that hour.
realistic, again, about timing. Be realistic. Do your research. Know your stuff and be honest with yourself.
Hire a planner.
Hire-
Hire a timeline.
Who does know?
I mean, it's as simple as it gets. Thank you guys, Anna Nelson and Karen Walker.
Care Bear. Hi.
And Allison, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We're talking about a lot of stuff tonight. I mean, it's been a lot. We've kind of been all over the map, and I can promise you that every single one of those details gets added to an Emily Weddings timeline for anybody who's ever seen our timelines or our novels.
An obnoxious amount of details.
It's details because we want to serve our couples.
Yes.
And again, the planners that are on tonight, Jill and Brandy and Jamie Lee and am I missing anyone? There's been a
Michelle.
few other Michelle, planners.
Oh.
You guys get it. Y'all know y'all are amazing at what you do, and you know that the timeline is just full of details because you want to serve your couples. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I want to make sure that we've gotten through all the comments so we're not like hanging up on anybody.
Well, I wouldn't know. You
we
would
were-
know because
we-
I'm behind the times.
Here, check
We
this
were
out.
just getting lots of love, so I was like, thanks.
Love.
Thank you guys for the
Anna
love.
Nelson, I didn't see you. Tom Crosby, one of our former grooms.
Thank you for joining.
You're so sweet. I think that's.
Yeah.
We've gone through
I think
the-
I've got all of
You
you.
guys
Hi,
feel
friends.
feel
Thanks
free
for
to
coming.
comment after we are live, and we'll get back to you.
Yes.
And again, tonight was just to kind of help couples understand what goes into a timeline and why it is such a puzzle and why it's such a domino effect and why you have to have someone who knows when things are happening so that the next thing can happen. We wanted our wedding professional friends to join. There's some amazing wedding planners in this area to join and give their 2 cents on what's important. Vendor meals was one of them.
But also, guys, after the time, I mean, if we're not live, you can still comment on this feed, on this thread, and we'll see it. So please, even if you're not watching this live, leave your comment. Let us know.
We're
Let us know
watching.
your
We
tips,
see
your
you.
tricks, your
We usually
experience.
respond.
Yes.
We're watching and we're keeping a close eye on it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is always so much fun. Like the whole team here together. Actually, it's not the whole team. We're missing 3 tonight.
Yes.
But it is a fun night that we get to be together, and we're going to go to work working on our couples events coming up right now. But thank you guys so much for joining us on Ion Events Monday night. This Thursday, we're going to do something fun. Thursday morning at 10:40 in the morning, we're going to do some Thanksgiving decor ideas. So you don't want to miss it.
It's harvest season, folks. It's
Yes,
my favorite season.
Harvest time. And then next Thursday, the following week at 10:40, we're going to finish up on a conversation we started this past Thursday about how to achieve balance in your life. And we're going to have a guest
I'm going
speaker.
to be there.
Kate wants to soak up all that information.
Right?
We have 4 simple steps. And I say simple, they're easy to understand. The application part may be a little harder, but there are 4 steps to obtaining balance in your life. And we're going to have a guest speaker on, and we're just going to kind of bang through that so that you guys have a better grasp on how to obtain balance. But thank you guys. You can find Emily Weddings anywhere on social media. Emily Weddings on Facebook and Instagram and
YouTube.
EmilyWeddings.com.
Everywhere. And then, of course, you can always join us for our show here on Facebook Live called Eye on Events, where we keep our eye on events, you keep your eye on us, and we'll keep you in the know with the latest and greatest in tips, tricks, and trends in weddings, events,
Could never
any
say
kind
that.
of
Never say
any kind
that.
of party you want to throw. We're here for you. We appreciate you guys spending Monday night with us. We hope that you enjoy your evening. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you Thursday.
And